Hey everyone, welcome to my first ever build video. This is actually for my 500 subscriber special, so I want to thank all of you guys for subscribing, liking, commenting on my videos. It has really changed me more than I ever thought it would. I'm going to show you guys just my general thought process and how I go about building this. I'm also going to show how I plan the surrounding area, the wheat fields, the pathways, and even the docks. So there's going to be timestamps in the description below, so you guys can kind of jump around if you'd like. This isn't going to be a step-by-step process. This is going to be a very simple build that took me a couple of hours to make. If you guys enjoy the video, go ahead and subscribe and let me know if you guys want to see more of these. Anyways, I'm going to start off by showing you guys my gradients. Now these two following gradients are going to be my go-to gradients that I kind of always use. But the first one I'm going to show is going to be a dark brown to light brown saturation gradient. Now you guys can go ahead and screenshot this gradient if you'd like. So feel free to include it and expand on this concept on your own build. And the next gradient I'm going to use is kind of grassy bleeding into a dark stone type of variant. So green leading into a gray, leading into black. It's going to start with green concrete, stone bricks, cobblestone, cobbled deep slate bricks, and then deep slate tiles. This is probably my most used gradient alongside with the previous one, and I just really like the feel of stone structures blending in with the environment, so I wanted to just build something simple with the two main gradients that I use. Now I have a whole bunch of gradients that I'll probably show in the future, but for now this is what we're sticking with. And here's the dimensions for any of you that want to kind of follow along. But again, the rest of the video, it's not really going to be a step-by-step process. You can pause the video as it goes if you want to build exactly what I have. But my premise and goals on these videos, and I think I am going to make at least a few more, is to kind of just be a relaxing type of feel where I'm just going to be building from imagination and seeing where my own creativity takes me. So I want to begin by saying that Minecraft world generation is very on point. Even though a lot of Minecraft builders focus on terraforming, I don't really believe in that tactic so much. One, it takes me a long time. Two, if you're going out of your way to find a very nice place, why try to change it too much? If anything, I add to it, I don't take off too much. Right here, I just take off a layer of grass just to kind of give me a little flatter foundation. I'm not saying you don't have to use inspiration, but at least for me, sometimes I have a lot more fun just putting the Lego pieces together and seeing what can come out. I'm using these shaders to give me a sense of where the light is hitting. Right now I froze the time so that I can have a sense of where the shadows are hitting and build based off of that. I randomized the placement of my blocks, however I do try to keep the darker ones on the back side and the lighter ones on the front side. I feel like this brings a little bit more life into the build. One thing I want to say is when it comes to building from imagination, even if you're getting some inspiration from somewhere, give yourself some rules. Even if you come up with the rules yourself. The rules that I like to give myself are, it's 3 simple rules. I like to see how the blocks blend in with the environment. I like to see how the blocks are viewed from fairly far away, so you'll see me kind of fly out and in and out quite a few times. The final rule that I like to give myself is the rule of 3s. Now this isn't the camera cinematic photography grid. This is my little rule of 3s, as it applies to the environment. I like to focus on finding or building 3 different types of visual points when it comes to all of my builds. For this build, I end up building 3 pathways, 3 stone walls, and 3 docks. These aren't any official rules, they're just my rules. However, I think people should apply them because you can stick to your own rules and give yourself a sense of organization when you're trying to come up with buildings from imagination. And what I end up doing with the roof is at first I kind of randomly place them to see what feels good. I end up reorganizing the texturing a little later on. I'm also going to place a new entrance that I just come up with. And since this is a older medieval style type of build, the windows are going to be kind of random, not too random. You're going to see that I am planning where I'm putting the windows, but they're not going to be uniform. Some are going to be staggered, some are going to be 1 block or 2 blocks, and then one side is going to have none and another one is just going to have one long window. I think little randomized aspects like these can really make a building come to life. Now as I go forward and work on the entrances, I use this little spruce door and spruce trap door and door to bring in some depth. When it comes to making builds, even if they're just 1 block wide on the walls, you want to bring in depth, whether it's the windows, the doors, or the walls themselves. When I move on to the front, I start just playing around and seeing what type of variants of the blocks that I'm already using fit the overall feel, I end up settling on spruce variants to kind of make some sort of a structure foundation for the roof. I use stairs and fences, and then I just expand the roof just a little bit more with the cobblestone and the deep slate blocks. I do the same with the smaller entrance, and then I start adding little blocks here and there. I include the gates and more spruce trapdoors to now bring more volume and more depth into the build. And I think this really is the most fun part of building, especially if it's from imagination or inspiration. Even if you're copying a build from Pinterest or Instagram, at some point you're gonna want to have some fun and just experiment with different looks. With the roof, I start adding these sort of skylights. Now, it's okay to have a flat roof, but I think having some sort of presence of a little skylight or something sticking out is really going to bring your simple build to life. I do the same thing with the walls. I use actual stone walls to just break in the texture of the build. It makes it look like some stones have fallen off of the main structure. I continue to make this little wooden roof on the side of the house and then work on this chimney just to bring a little bit more character to the build. This wasn't at all planned, but I was like, you know what? This structure needs something to be sticking out. So I expanded on the structure a little bit, added the chimney and that campfire wooden structure to just give it a little bit more volume and just have fun with it. I'm also playing around with adding some extra blocks on those skylights, and I end up just settling with what I originally started, but that's the whole beauty of kind of playing Minecraft in this way, is just try out new things. If something doesn't work, go ahead and take it off. Back when I was younger, one of my main inspirations used to be Keralis, one of the Hermitcraft members, and I just really enjoyed watching his how to build videos, and even nowadays I'll go back to his earlier ones and just binge watch his tutorials. The excitement that he used to have on building certain houses, even if they were small or big, man, it really got me into building. And now I still watch him, but now I also found Bdoubleo, and man, that guy's insane. I saw a post not too long ago where he recently broke his thumb for playing Minecraft too much. Man, that's dedication. I guess that Minecraft is this man's life. But anyways, I went back to the roof and I started taking off some of the stone, some cobblestone blocks, and replacing them with the darker variants just because it didn't match too well with the overall lighting. And it's completely okay if you have a certain plan and as you're building it, it just doesn't come together. It's completely okay to just scratch it and build onto it until you are happy with the product. So right here, I'm gonna give a little flyover. I'm actually done with the overall build, and I'm going to change my shaders and move on to a tilt shift type of time lapse, which brings a whole different feel to Minecraft. I've really been enjoying this effect. Now I'm going to start working on the pathways. And as I stated at the beginning of the video with the rule of threes, here I'm going to show you with these little dashes that I'm outlining 3 pathways. These are some of the blocks that I'm going to be using on the pathways. It's not really a gradient, it's just the blocks that I think make pathways pop, especially with builds like these. I go ahead and start building 3 stone walls. And this is where my wheat fields or any vegetation is going to be planted. And that really brings the environment to life. I keep expanding on the pathways, and then I start planting all the wheat. Alright, so now that we're here, voila, here's the wheat fields. Now, unfortunately, my replay mod did not want to replay me planting all of the wheat, but, you know, it wasn't that exciting anyway. It actually took way longer than anything else. But you could already see how now the house complements the environment around it, and the environment complements the house. It makes it seem as it's not just a random house floating in the middle of nowhere. Someone lives here, someone has purpose, and someone has put purpose into their build. And that's kind of the feel that I want to go with, at least for this build. And it's really the feel I go with a lot of my builds. Now I'll move on and start working on the docks. I start off with a random dock kind of going parallel with the landscape. And it's nothing too special. The cool effect that I like on this one is I use signs to kind of make a little barrier, a little fence on the side instead of actually using fences. The secondary dock, it's a little bit thinner and very simple. As if the other one could be used for boats, you know, parking your boats, and the second one can be used for fishing or vice versa. Either way, I think it brings a lot of life into the environment. I also start placing these poles where I'm gonna place some lanterns. They're very randomized. You may not even have to include it, but I think it just brings a little bit more depth into the river. Then I go on and start working on the third and last dock, which is on the other side of the river. Now, when it comes to the rule of threes, it also applies to the environment around you. Sometimes a house or a certain landscape can have 3 rivers or 3 mountains or whatever. Use that to your advantage as well. I go ahead and start placing more smaller details. I place logs as if the person who is living here is collecting logs. Again, I put 3 or more stacks of hay bales and a little water reservoir or something like that. Just something that makes the environment, again, the place pop. I place some more random blocks, crafting tables, and I start going into what I call the detailed blocks, which are your flowers, your plants, berry bushes, melons, campfires, or your functional blocks that bring functionality into a build. Go ahead and start placing those everywhere as well. And at the final step, just go ahead and add some lighting. Overall, I had a lot of fun making this. It took way more time editing this than it took making the build, but man, it's pretty fun, and I've always wanted to make videos like these. I know it doesn't necessarily fit the premise of the videos I have already been posting, however, I do plan on posting some of these here and there if people enjoy them. So yeah, for the first time, I think it's a good little special occasion to post it on my 500 subscriber special. Again, if you guys really like these videos, any of them, go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already, like them, comment down any feedback, and now I'm just gonna leave you with a little cinematic showcase. Thank you guys and have a good day.